welcome in to a Wednesday edition of Views from Your Stands. I am your host, Stevie B, Steve Brennan, and we are happy as hell to see you guys on a Wednesday night. We got a fun-filled, fun-packed show for you tonight. It's just me and the GM, G-Mike, and we have a very special guest tonight. We're going to do some fantasy football, which everybody loves, from the local football flavor podcast is going to swing by and talk some fantasy football with us. So if you guys got any questions out there or anything want to know fantasy related, let us know and come in the chat, and I'm sure we'll be more than happy to answer some questions. We have another player in trouble for spitting. We will talk about what the hell is going on with that. Falcons got hit with a major QB blow. The latest CFP ranking is out, so we're definitely going to be talking about that. Talk about who should be in, maybe still, who should be not. The NBA is rolling right now. No pun intended unless you wanted it. But anyways, we're a month into the season. We'll be talking about that. And we also have an awesome DownBad Debate wide receiver QB duo. So you guys are more than welcome to jump on in with that. We're really looking forward to it. Mr. G, Mike, how are you feeling tonight, my friend? What you let the good people let you know what's going on with you?
Yes, sir. Feeling good, baby. Wednesday night, middle of the week. Been working hard. Still got to work a little bit harder, and especially with these slips, baby. I run a Telegram channel where we offer sports gambling slips to get you winnings from $10 to $50 to $100 a day. We have an affiliate program as well that you can make extra money on the side while being in the Telegram. You'll see the link pop up in the chat if you're watching the live episode, or if not, if you're watching the recorded episode, it's going to pop up on your screen, as well as my social media accounts. So you can send me a DM, ask me whatever questions you need to see how you could get up in the chat and make some money, baby.
Absolutely, man. Everybody loves a little bit extra change in the pocket, man. And man, it has been a great time for us out here on the show. We also got to give a shout out to our main guys out there, Varsity Sports Nation. They've been doing really well with us and helping us out. So if you ever want to watch live from your sports, check them out. You want high school sports, they got you. You want college sports, they got you. If you want content just like you're watching right now, they got you on that as well. We're on demand on there, and as well as a lot of other creators and streamers. The best part is it's a convenient iOS app, Android, Roku TV, Apple TV, Fire TV, as well as pretty much every social media. You can catch them and catch us on demand. So while you're there, give them a like and subscribe. And while you're at it, please give us a like and subscribe and help support the people that's been helping support us. Speaking of supporting us, if you can go ahead and give us a like and subscribe as well, that would be fantastic. We really appreciate it. But before we get into some news, we have a very special guest, and we're going to go have him come on. And we got Joe from the local football flavor. How's it going, Joe? How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic, man. How are you doing today?
Just awesome, man. Just living in the dreams, watching my boy knock off Chase's helmet after getting spit on. It was beautiful. And, man, nothing like that. You know how hard you got to hit someone to knock a helmet off their head? That's what the Steelers are bringing with Ramsey right now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, 100%, man. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead. We can just go ahead and get right into that one if you'd like. What a wild-ass time we're living in right now. In the same season, we've had two different people in trouble for spitting. Like, what is going on with this spitting stuff we got going on here, man? Joe, why don't you go ahead and lead us off on this one, man? What the hell is going on with this?
So in week one, when Carter did it, I got the impression that, he was just juiced up. He wasn't trying to spit. Just sometimes when you're talking and you get into it, you guys sure been there, and then, your screen's wet as can be, like, what the hell happened? That was how I took the Philly incident in week one. Chase wasn't that. Those two were going at each other the entire game. And again, being in person with it, it was building up for a while, and there was definitely intentionality behind that. So, I mean, yeah, you can see it there firsthand. There's something to that. When in Philly at the beginning of the week, it was just, we're vocal and talking and stuff flies out of your face. That was intentional. So I'm very glad he got suspended, especially they took Ramsey out the rest of that game.
So you were actually at the game?
Yeah.
Oh, man, how that's even better, man. I didn't realize you're actually at the game. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, dude. So sitting there, one thing about Yinzers and Steelers Nation is that you can't really lie to us. We've seen this before, and we had, 15 years of being told that you're the best team in the league while Brady kept coming up with a new cheating scandal to overcome it. And really only two fan bases remember every single one they did. It's us and the Colts. because the Steelers and the Colts were screwed by every single cheating thing that New England did because we were the other two contenders, right? So being there, you can't really lie to the Steelers. And we're sitting there watching this game, and we saw what Chase and Cincinnati did to us just a couple weeks ago. And that whole game felt like it was sitting on an edge. And we only scored 10 points. We're playing Cincinnati. They're going to drop 40 on us. That's always going to happen. We just know it, right? And it was 4th and short the first time the two of them get into a fight. And then they call timeout. They each get their warnings, right? And then immediately after it, after the timeout break, where they, go fix snap, no one jumped. Then they get into this on the timeout subsequent on a 4th and 1, 4th and inches. Obviously, he gets knocked out of the game, 15 yards first down. And it's basically that is going to be the turning point of the game. That's what woke the crowd up. That's what made everything happen. And from that point forward, it was if the Steelers' loss was going to be Ramsey's fault because the secondary was going to fall apart, or if the Steelers won, it's because they had juice because Ramsey basically beat up Chase, for lack of a better way of putting it. And that was phenomenal. You could palpably feel it. And, it was awesome. I mean, just being there. But there was a lot of fear in that moment, really, until the defense started scoring. And then, like I said,
I love the Tomlinism afterwards as well. I don't know what to do. I've never been spit on before, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna do what comes natural.
And he did what come natural. He punched that head right off. It was awesome. Like I said, there was a lot of concern there, but once it opened up, and the elephant in the room is that the backup quarterback with 2 possessions scored as much as Rodgers did with the whole game. That's the elephant that Steelers Nation doesn't want to address right now, but that's a digression.
Oh, no, we can definitely get into that. But before we do, let's give you a couple of minutes to maybe promote what you have going on and everything like that. Go ahead and explain to everybody from Views from the Stands and some new viewers that may not be able to know what you got going on. So it's your floor, man. Tell what you got going on.
Sure. Well, yeah, sure. Plug local football flavor. That's what we do is we're on live Thursdays and Mondays. I guess I said it backwards. Mondays and Thursdays at 3:45 Eastern until about 5:30. And what we do is we field fantasy football questions sent at us all day. Every once in a while we get some betting takes, but it's a majority of which is fantasy football. And that's what we do. A lot of sit-ems, start-ems, trades advice. We started this channel up about 3 or 4 years ago, and a lot of regulars following us. And the one thing we can say we're very proud of is over 95% of our regulars make their league championships. We're all about cutting the edge on trades, when to sell them hot, when to have the advantage. And that's basically what our show is. People sending us their team and saying, make it better. How can we do this? What kind of things should we look for? We do it. Obviously, sit starts, waiver wires. And in the off season, it's best ball central. And collectively, myself and my co-host, we are both well above statistical average in best ball. And we're very excited for that. So that's what we are. Local football flavor right here on YouTube.
Sounds great, man. I want to check in as well with thanks for Nina for checking in. Hello to you as well. So, so how did you guys get started? They've been doing this about for 3 years now. How did you guys get started into the podcasting world and video podcasting, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so, I did it actually as an extension of I was already doing stuff for my work. I'm a professional speaker. I'm an event host. But I wanted to talk about something that wasn't boring like sales, right? Everyone can talk about sales. You can see the sales book over my shoulder. So we're like, I want to talk football. And I was just hanging out with my friend one night. We were literally debating Rodgers on how he was going to destroy the Jets, which newsflash he did, and it was the Jets' fault, like most things are. So at the end of the day, we just we're doing this, and then that's what happened, and we just went from there, and been doing it ever since. Getting a nice little good tight fan group of our team players over at Local Football Flavor, and we love it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's kind of how George and I kind of got together as well. We both went to sports broadcasting school at the Full Sail with Dan Patrick School, and ironically went on a radio show, met each other, and then we kind of him and our BC, whoever our co-host, he's normally with us as well. Met on Peace in the Streets. Peace in the Streets coming on later on tonight. Mr. G might most likely probably be on there, maybe. But having said that, we just kind of hit it off and was like, let's do this the same kind of way or whatever. So.
That's great, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
So I did have a go ahead, George.
No, I just wanted to for the fantasy football fans out there, you talk a lot about fantasy football. for the newcomers, first year, second year, and even third year, you're still brand new and you're still trying to learn the ropes, the in and outs of fantasy football. What advice can you give for the newcomers, the beginners of fantasy football at this time of year when there's only 3-4 more weeks left, depending on how the fantasy football league is going on with their current leagues? 3 to 4 weeks left. They're trying to make it into the playoffs. What advice can you give them to get into playoffs and try to make a run?
Absolutely. So let me start with the general advice. I'm getting specific for right now. The general advice is don't get trapped in the names around it. This is a game of statistics. So the volume is always king. So just because ESPN is writing all these hype stories or fluff pieces, that doesn't make you win. Mike, you answered before about how you're doing Vegas stuff. Some of the best stuff in beating the sports books is when the national media just has to get it wrong. Because they don't give a downside. They hype someone up. They're going to be the greatest thing ever. They get clicks. If Vegas goes and gets a line wrong, they lose millions. So really, where should you be listening? And that's one of our starting points is find truly credible knowledge sources that are going to give you meaningful answers. And it is in the sports books. That's really how we derive our information in the first point, but it's not from player props, which there's a lot of crazy math I'm not going to get into right now. But the answer first and foremost is do not just follow the hype and the names. Actually dive into the statistics. Now, that being said, talking this second in time, I'm trying to fight to get on the edge. I need to get into the playoffs. Two things to look out for. You have to be very cognizant of what you believe your cut line for making the playoffs are going to be. If you are already feeling that you are comfortably in there, it is totally okay to reach at one of these players who are prime studs, but we don't know who are coming back. My prize jewel for that is Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving's playoff run is immaculate for fantasy football, but you have to be able to absorb the fact you might lose a couple weeks until he comes back to full strength. That's fine. Are you trying to win the whole thing or just get in? Your record right now dictates that. So if you're right on the bubble, you can't be traded away a starter to go get Bucky. But if you're comfortably in, go get Bucky, go win the championship. And that's one of the things I recommend is look at teams and other rosters within your league that are in win now mode, but they're holding someone who just can't help them right now. Like the owner of Chase. If that guy is in win now mode, yeah, he will sell you Chase for George Pickens. And that is a steal throughout the rest of it because they got to win right now. And that's the kinds of things to look at right now as far as the opportunities that go through. And then, of course, on the waiver wire, you certainly want to be running out and getting the players when there's an injured running back in front of them. If Warren doesn't play, Gainwell is a home run smash start. But that all comes down to injury, and you probably really don't know that until Saturday. So do your waiver claims accordingly. A little bit of speculation, but that's the starting point.
Yeah, my best waiver this year was Rico Dotto. Right when they said that Hubba was gonna take a little step back or whatever, like I think it was like a month ago, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick up Dotto just in case, just have him on the bench. And next thing you know, started him, and he went like 3 weeks ballistic, scoring over 20 points each week.
Yeah, and for running backs, that's one of the good concepts that I bring up because there are some threads of when you can see a running back's going to go off. In general, they have a very bad quarterback, Arizona, and they end up going off. I mean, it doesn't matter who the running back is in Arizona, they're going to perform because the quarterback can't do anything. I have a Mount Rushmore of people you never want to have on your fantasy football team, and Kyler Murray is by far the top of that list. So just a full disclosure for all of you guys who've seen me hate on Kyler 5 million times.
I've fallen for the trap before.
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence is another one. Trevor Lawrence is
literally makes this because I watched the All-22. He literally makes the same mistakes today that he made as a rookie that he made at Oklahoma. Like the guy has not progressed. He's the only player in NFL history that has watched less film than Johnny Manziel, and that's only because Johnny Manziel watched highlights of Johnny Manziel. Like that's it. So when you look at it, like that's what we're dealing with here. So, but to answer your question, yeah, you definitely want to go pick up players, running backs especially, on teams that have underperforming quarterbacks. Which, if you look around the fantasy world, with the exception of really Henry last year, there's a pretty direct straight line across the board of what these quarterbacks are actually doing on the field and what their corresponding quarterback is. And that's why Carolina is a perfect example. Bryce Young doesn't deliver, so they have to hand it off. And could potentially be something telling about what's going on in Green Bay, which, by the way, that's another smash grab. Go get Wilson, because they've been relying on the running game a lot, and it's worth keeping into.
Yeah, so another question I wanted to ask you, because you're mainly saying a lot about fantasy in here. Do you have a preference of which kind of style of fantasy game do you like to play? Best ball, guillotine. The guillotine thing is kind of getting more popular. It sounds kind of fun. I've got a chance to try one yet. Do you got any preference on what you like to do? To standard, PPR?
So we really do it all. I mean, like I said, in the off season, DraftKings in particular comes out with so many different variants of best ball, which are really fun for content, because between them and Underdog, they keep fighting about different versions. And the only real difference between DraftKings and Underdogs, one's PPR, one's half PPR. But otherwise, I don't really have a preference. I like the fact that there's always different game setups. For instance, Underdog had one that they call their Survivor, where half the people got eliminated every single week and you were in a one-on-one matchup the whole time. That was really cool. I like that. I mean, I'm a sucker for the big ones. I can't say I'm not. A lot of best ball manias. But for my personal leagues that I'm in, for my redrafts, I love auction leagues. I think that they are amazing. And the reason for that is you're engaged the whole time. You never check out. And you can build the team you want. And if you end up getting 3 first-rounders, you might not have the rest of the roster. But you got to play that waiver wire accordingly. It's just a different way of playing. So my personal favorite is the auction style, but for gambling, it's best ball. I prefer best ball over DSF or DFS.
Yeah, so you bring up FanDuel and DraftKings, right? And I wanted to ask you, because you guys are betting guys, when it comes to gambling, with sports gambling, what is your best prop? And we'll stick with NFL here just because we're talking about football. What's your best prop to use, and what's your worst prop that you probably won't ever choose again?
Okay, so my best prop one's easy. It might only be on FanDuel. I don't know if I've ever seen anywhere else. They have, for baseball and NFL, I don't imagine every sport, but they have what they call the 4-way margin. And in football, it's your team wins by 1 to 13 points or 14 or more. So you got 4 choices. And the reason I love that so much is the value that you get on the return on the favorite at 1 to 13 is immense. And you also get to play the reality that, let's face it, the spreads are normally pretty accurate. So if you see a team laying 6.5, you just take them to win by 1 to 13. You're on both sides of a close game relative to the spread. You're going to walk away with a plus money payout. So the 4-way margin is definitely my favorite of the off the beaten path bets. And I have never won on any of the websites specials. They pre-make it like Saquon Barkley combined with Henry are going to get 600 yards today and 3 touchdowns.
Those are like under 5%.
Yeah, I've never won on any of them. But the margin is my go-to. And that, again, I've only seen that on FanDuel, but that's where I do it.
Yeah, I think for me, it's first quarter props. I think quarter props, when it comes to the NFL and the NBA, if you know how to just put 2 legs on it, you could put 2 legs. Most of the time, I like doing straight bets, but you got to have a high capital for that. For the people that don't have a high capital and they just bet $5, $10, $20, $25, you put 2 legs on a first quarter bet, and honestly, a lot of times, I would say like 60% of the times and higher, I'm hitting on those. Like, for example, you could get Rico Dotto 5 yards to rush 5 yards in the first quarter, and it'll be like minus 200, right? And then you could get Saquon Barkley to rush for 10 yards, and it'll be like minus 170. You add those 2 together, and it's either borderline a plus, or if not, it is a plus.
Yeah, it's going to be close. No, I love that theory. The other thing that you can do if you're doing first quarter specifically ones is you got to be on top of this. I mean, there's a time window for this. Once you find out who's getting the opening coin toss, you know whether they're going to get blown out down the field. Like Chicago and Cincinnati, they're letting up a touchdown. You know that 100%. Like, for instance, Steelers are playing Chicago this week. If the Steelers get the ball first, take the under for the first quarter, because the Steelers, first off, take forever if they do score, and they're going to have the ball the extra possession, because you only really get 3 possessions a quarter. So Chicago might or might not score the first time against the Steelers. Their defense is pretty good at shutting them down. And at the end of at least the first drive. So that's how I look at it is if you know insights on teams' first drive tendencies and you're able to hit that window between the announcement of who gets the ball first and the bets closing, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
You got to, like I said, you got to really be on top of it. But that is, in my opinion, one of the sweetest spots for the first quarter bets.
And I'm gonna give you just one more gem because I could go on and on about
this.
Yeah. Steve already knows I'm a sports gambling man for sure. But one more gem, right? Primetime games like Thursday night football, Sunday night football, or Monday night football. What I love to do is I'll take $100 and I'll put 4 different bets of $25 on first touchdown score. So the top 2 players on both sides of the team, 25, 25, 25, 25. And then the first guy, let's say like this past Monday, I hit with CeeDee Lamb, right? It was Javonte Williams at plus 400. It was CeeDee Lamb at plus 700. It was Brock Bowers at plus 800. And it was Alshon Jeffrey at plus 600. So I put $25 on each one. The highest one, like the one with the less odds, obviously you don't want it to hit. You want it to be the one with the highest odds.
Yeah.
But even then, you'll still make your money back of $100 that you're putting in because of the high payout.
Yeah, that's exactly. So is there a certain logic behind it being a primetime game versus a regular run-of-the-mill 1 o'clocker?
I just do primetime because I feel like when it comes to Vegas odds, and this is just conspiracy. This is my conspiracy.
I want to hear it.
When it comes to Vegas odds on primetime games, they love to try to get people to bet one way and it goes the opposite way. So I feel like when that happens, I feel like you can put the first touchdown score on just both sides of any side, and it's just going to be up for grabs. It's going to be a 50-50 shot. When it comes to Sunday football, 1 p.m. slate, 425, I feel like most of the time, a lot of field goals happen, but it doesn't matter because you can still score. You can still win off of the first touchdown because obviously it's the first touchdown. But I feel like more players on Sunday slates, like there's a more variety of players that can score on each team, like the wide receiver 2s, the wide receiver 3s, the running back 2s, or even it could be a special teams or even a pick 6 or a fumble recovery to the crib. I feel like that happens more during 1 p.m. slates, 4 p.m. slates on Sunday than it does on primetime. I feel like primetime, the playmakers are the first ones to score.
I can see the logic in there. In general, I don't do touchdown props because I kind of feel like it's betting the hard money line or the hards and craps. It's just kind of set up to sound cool when it hits, but it really doesn't pay out as much as it should given the variance of it. But I get where you're at because the primetime elements, there's all that extra personal juice that comes out. And there's so much of this game is placating your stars. Whether you want to, it doesn't really even matter what level you're looking at, whether it's college or pros. Yeah. The higher you go up from that talent level, the less that there is about coaching them, the more it is about placating them. And that makes a whole lot of sense because all the people who are going to be the top 4 are going to be the stars. It's going to be everyone you said, CD, Bowers, etc. And that makes a whole lot of sense. I'll have to keep my eye out on that one. That's an interesting take there. But I can see the human element of, unless it's something crazy like the Super Bowl where we haven't given a touchdown to Sky Moore all year and we're just going to do that right. Just to make it special. And I'm Reed and I've been here 7 times, so it doesn't matter what I do. The rest of them are there. So I get that. I mean, certainly every primetime game Rice is in, or when it's the national 4 o'clock game for that matter. When the Bills played the Chiefs was the same thing. Only the prime star scored in that game.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I can certainly see the all the eyes on me type moments. Yeah.
No, and it's funny you bring up Josh Allen and the Bills because, bro, you know what it is? If someone would have put $1,000 on Josh Allen scoring 6 touchdowns this past Sunday, man.
Oh, that had to be paying out over $1 million on a 6.
At least.
I don't even know if they let that bet happen. Yeah, because normally you see 3. It's hard to find that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you hit that, the FBI is not like FBI and IRS are knocking on your door like that same day because you knew something was going on that we didn't or something.
So one of my favorite ones in the world of sports betting was Sunday Night Football, more so than any other network, will show like their overhead cam about the quarterbacks, as they're in the huddle coming out. And there was this guy who just had this theory: anytime Russell Wilson touches someone, he's going to give them the ball. So when they would show it on TV, he would do a live bet of what the next play is. And he was something like 17 out of 18. And he just kept progressively getting higher, because once he figured it out. But he only bet on Russell Wilson. Like no other play did he hit on. And the FBI investigated him because of that, because he thought he was in cahoots. The guy had never met Russell Wilson in his life, never had any communication.
Amazing.
He just learned his tell and then cashed in. Now you can't even bet on Russell Wilson next play for a first down. It's something that's interesting. You get burnt, you take it off the book. But it was just fun things like that happen. That be observant. It makes a big difference in the world of gambling, football, and the rest of it. They are people at the end of the day. It's not just a statistical world.
There was another receiver. I forgot what it was. It might have been Chase, or I can't remember who it was, but they used to adjust their gloves. Someone caught onto it. They used to adjust their gloves every single time. And they was like, okay, plays going to that person or something. But they were such a good receiver that it didn't matter. Even if you did know who the hell it was, you're not stopping it. It was one of those kind of things.
It was AB.
Yeah. I knew it was somebody that was relevant enough that no matter what it was, you're not stopping them. So it didn't really matter.
Yep, he's not the only one, but he's the one that became very. The Pittsburgh Steelers under Ben Roethlisberger had so many tells that they didn't bother fixing, because they played against Cincinnati and Cleveland, that they didn't have to. They had played 2 relevant games a year for the entire mid 2000s, and it came down to who won between them and the Ravens. Quite frankly, that's the norm. Ohio sucks and falls off the face of the earth. Yeah. And I get you guys do a lot of college football. I kind of wish that would happen with them too. But that's a side story. Breaking the Constitution just to catch someone who broke NCAA rules is not okay.
Ohio State will always be in the picture, buddy. Always be in the picture.
I know that. If you're breaking the Constitution because someone made you lose, you're going to be there. That's Mafioso 101.
Yep.
We got Joe from Local Football Flavor on the show with us today. We're having a lot of fun. Joe, if you're going to stick around for a minute, we're going to go and jump into some news, man. We're going to relate it to fantasy. So we're going to go ahead and jump into some news. Cool?
Yeah.
All right.
News from the world of sports.
All right, we did have a big piece of news that just came out, and it's going to definitely relate to fantasy football. That is, Michael Penix is going to be on IR and done for the rest of the season. And you got Kirk Cousins coming in; he's going to be playing for the rest of the season. A couple of things I wanted to ask you about this. What's the fantasy relevance, and is Kirk Cousins going to be able to carry any of these guys? Because you also had Drake London, who's most likely going to be missing some time as well. So a couple of fantasy questions with this one. I was saying. Who's the next man up? And secondly, is Kirk Cousins worth a pickup, or is it just past that that injury's too much for him?
Well, quite frankly, if you're at this point in your league and you need to pick up a quarterback, you're in trouble. I would just say that outright.
Unless you're playing 2 QB league.
Yeah, that's fair. But even then, I don't think Cousins is warranting a top 25. I'd rather play Shook than him, just to give you a comparison point into quarterback league. So, as I said before, you really want to look at the running backs with a subpar quarterback play. And this is a spot where I think Bijan already went off. You saw it go off last week. I think that just continues. Algier is someone that I definitely would like to look into. When you look at the Atlanta situation overall, the next time you ever see Pitts fight for a ball that's in the air will be the first time Pitts ever puts fighting for a ball in the air on game film tape.
Since Florida.
I don't even know if he did it then. I'm not enough with college to know it, but that guy sits back and waits for a ball to come to him every single time, and then boom, it gets slacked away in front of his face constantly. Because in Florida, he was the fastest man on the field. In the NFL, he's not. So that being said, I'm already very anti-Pitts. I'm not going to jump on that now. But there's a lot of people that are trying to push that narrative that you should because of Mooney and London's situation, saying basically Pitts is the only man left standing. And I would rather have Algier than Pitts, or really, he's my number 2 Falcon right now in terms of the ball touchers. And obviously Bijan number 1 and Algier number 2, because even if you get that situation where Mooney is kind of okay, kind of not okay, supposedly he's had a collarbone issue since training camp, but they never reported it. Mm-hmm. We did asides before. I want to bring one up here right now. You guys remember around this time last year, Bijan was never on the injury report, but never set foot on the field. He just sat on the sideline. There was all these conspiracies, like he must have hooked up with the coach's daughter or something, and that's why he didn't play. The reason
they were saying that he had COVID too, and they don't want to put him out there.
Yeah, all that stuff. Atlanta, except for maybe the Belichick era Patriots, is possibly the best or worst, depending on your viewpoint, of exploiting the injury requirements and designations. And because of that, they are really tricky to put a confident bet on, in my opinion. But this is another example. Like Mooney would be the guy you would want to own, but I can't tell you with confidence that he's all right. So with that being said, I'm definitely not going to be diving into a number 3 or 4 into a situation in Atlanta with a backup quarterback. So again, the fantasy implication for me is bet the under and take Bijan and Algier, because all they can do is run the ball and get outfield with a defense that's kind of crumbling. So that would be what I would say about the Penix situation involved with fantasy.
Yeah.
Besides the fantasy relevance of it, just as an NFL fan, Penix, this isn't the first time this has happened to him. This is going to be his 3rd ACL tear. What's long term with Penix, you thinking here?
Well, when Penix came out of Washington, I basically thought he was the lefty version of Phillip Rivers. He had a very similar throw, very similar statue, and I thought that, like I said, it would have worked out, but you can't overcome injury. And there's a very real chance that he just might be done. I mean, let's face it. We already know that Justin Fields and Kyler Murray are never playing another snap in the NFL again. That's all but been determined. And I hate to say it, he's in his 2nd or 3rd year, but Penix is going down that road unless he's able to become a really happy guy who's cool with being a backup like Jameis Winston. But I don't see how Atlanta is going to be able to stick with him, except for I take that back. They're going to have to. They already traded away their 1st-round pick next year. So he's coming back, but with his injury, he's not going to be ready for training camp. I mean, ACLs heals faster and faster, but they don't heal in 7 months. So with that being said, he's certainly not going to be on my radar for picking up next year. And for Atlanta in general, they have themselves really a golden opportunity, given the fact the rest of that division is horrible, except for Tampa. You know, you could have a chance to step into that 2 seed over and over and over again. But they kind of lost it here. And if Moore can turn New Orleans around, they might always just be the Jets and never be relevant. And that's the thing. To give credence to that statement, if you look over the last 5-year stretch, last 10-year stretch, last 15-year stretch, 25 years, and 30-year stretch, at each 5-year increment, the Atlanta Falcons defense is last in the league in sacks, pressures, and turnovers. Every single one of those increments. There's just something about that organization that you can't overcome when you always lose a turnover differential. The most important thing in stat, and their defense doesn't help them, and now their offense just lost the signal caller with no opportunity of getting a new one for at least a season and a half. So,
what about you, G Mike? How you feeling, man? What do you think this is going to mean for the Penix future and future of the Falcons, man, in general?
Well, I do kind of agree with the fact that the Falcons are cursed. I mean, they were leading in the Super Bowl 20-3.
Best OC ever.
that went overboard quickly. But just this year with Michael Penix, man, it sucks. He's going to be down with a knee injury. The good thing is that he's young. So, be able to recover faster. Hopefully he comes back better. We saw Adrian Peterson. He came back and he was an all-top dog and rushed for more than 1,000 yards and probably one of his best seasons of his career, honestly. But that's just one dude out of so many that have got an ACL tear. So we'll see with that. But Kirk Cousins fitted in. With the fantasy implications, I understand the risk it is with taking Darnell Mooney, but I think if you're a manager out there and you need a flex, you need if you have 2 flexes and you need a wide receiver 3, I'd say just pick him up, because the way that Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney last year were cooking was crazy. Like that connection there was better than Cousins and Pitts, Cousins in London, Cousins and Bijan, Cousins and Cousins. It was just awesome. So I would
you're
say
100% right. There's credence to it. It's just a risk because of the injury part. But no, I mean there's nothing wrong with that. But also Mooney should be on roster. He shouldn't be on waivers. So I don't know if I'm going out of the way to trade for him. I would blow some fab on him, but I would not trade for him.
Yeah, definitely pay some fab on him, 100%. I mean, that connection with Kirk Cousins, it was just great. And you need him for a flex, I would say put him in there, right? But just for the Falcons, go moving forward, man, they're going to need Penix, man, because next year, like let's say they go and they do something crazy like they did last year and draft the QB in the first round of their draft, and they do that again this upcoming year, it wouldn't be smart because there's no really good QBs that are coming out of college,
especially in the second round because they don't have their first round. Yeah,
exactly, in the second round because they don't have the first. Exactly. So
I would imagine what they're forced to do is they're stuck with using Cousins next year to start it off. I mean, they gave him a 3-year contract, so he's still on the books for next year, and it from its structural standpoint makes the most sense. Keep the two of them together. Clearly, they're okay enough as teammates. Apparently, Cousins is like the nicest guy in the world, so I would keep them there. He's gracefully taken the bench already and just let him know up front that this is what's going to happen. And that would probably be what they have to do. And I guess the reality is you got to hope that you don't play Tampa while he's scheduled to be hurt next year. Hope the schedule makers give him a pass there, because that whole division comes down to can they beat Tampa twice. I mean, if you talk about the Atlanta Falcons moving forward, that's the question. They got to go 4-2 in their division, sweeping Carolina and get Tampa.
I've been impressed with Carolina, though. Honestly, I think Carolina's been having a pretty quietly decent season. They've won some games that I've been more impressed with. I think Bryce Young is finally kind of figuring it out a little bit. Canales and him are kind of getting on the same page. Rico, I think, is going to probably stick around. They're probably going to give him some decent money, even though they did just pay Juba Hubbard. I kind of like what Carolina's doing. Tenor McMillan, that was a great pickup for him. Leggett has been a huge letdown fantasy-wise and just NFL-wise. He hasn't really done much. Coker was supposed to be something to be bragging about, and it just hasn't really panned out, really. But I like what Carolina's doing, so I think it's going to be interesting to see come down the stretch. I mean, hell, Tampa Bay's been losing the last couple. Carolina's creeping their way up in a weird way here too, so
they certainly are. So Carolina, I'm going to draw this parallel here, is a lesser degree of the same problem I'm going to talk about with Chicago in a minute. But the thing with Carolina is that the coach realized the only way we're going to really win is we got to, even though he was the first pick overall, we're not going to let him loose. We're not going to let him cook, as to use the Russell Wilson analogy. And they have a good run blocking line. They just flat out looked at the ingredients they had and they used them. They have one of the best run blocking lines in the league. It can rival Detroit in that department. And they handed the ball off. And Rico Dowdle is a speed, one-cut guy who, if you see a hole, he can run fast. And eventually he's going to break down and get broken. But it hasn't happened yet, and the fantasy things will be gold. For those preparing for next season, I get that's a little early yet, the kid from Texas that they drafted who's tore his ACL next year will be that starting back next year, and he should be your sleeper already. Pencil him down for Carolina's world. So I like where they're at. You mentioned specifically Coker there. Coker was really one of my big guys entering into this, and then last season. I really liked where he was at. But you got to recognize super low pick, and from their standpoint, when they draft Tet in the first round, it's really easy to push this guy to the back burner because we haven't invested in him. And that's effectively what's happened. It's not that Coker's skills have diminished or he's looking worse on tape or anything. He's just not getting the opportunities because Tet's on the field. And you draft someone first overall, you better put him on the field. It's just they made that conscious choice as a front office. Personally, I would not have done that, but that's what they did, and that's fine. And that's looking forward. If I'm looking at Carolina, what I really would like to focus on is how to find the next version of Sam Darnold. Some quarterback who had pedigree, went to study underneath one of the two masters, either San Francisco or the Rams, and then turned out being a dude somewhere else. So that answers Mac Jones, for the record, for everyone's keeping track of this. Wherever he ends up next year, he will be a stud. And if I were Carolina, I would strongly look at that to try to get that next wave of Sam Darnoldism and try to build a team around it, because I am not sold at all on Bryce Young, despite the fact that they are the team that eliminated my suicide poll this year when they beat the Packers. But that's a digression.
Oh man, that game when they beat the Packers, man. Oh my God, I had an 8-leg parlay that I just put like some play money that I had there in the house money that I had there. I just put an 8-leg, and that Packers game messed it all up.
Oh, dude, the worst part of that game was on the opening kickoff when the red zone turned it on immediately. I knew I lost because if the Green Bay Packers aren't wearing green, they're gonna lose. Like that, what they were wearing this blue crap. Like what the hell?
Yeah, those uniforms are
it was that old
horrible
school
looking.
stuff, that 60s ball or whatever.
Yeah, that was so bad. I was like, you were so called Green Bay in the 60s. Like, put on some green. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
the helmet wasn't too bad. The helmet wasn't too bad, but like the whole thing itself just did not work. It was bad.
Did not work at all. It looked like you let some kid, like a 4-year-old, pick the color scheme for the jerseys. Like, you ever play an NCAA and you just like find one of those teams like Oregon has like 17 options? Yeah, this is the one we're gonna go with. Like, that was the wrong choice, dude. Like that's what that game was.
Facts.
So speaking with fantasy on here, well, like I was saying before, we got Joe from a local fantasy flavor. So who has been your favorite and least favorite pick? So basically like a stud and a dud, if you will, of the fantasy season so far.
So you guys can go. I hide nothing. I'm on the record all the time. The two guys I was on the most in the offseason, and I pretty much was forcing this in drafts, was Collins and Bucky. And obviously both of them get hurt. So in terms of injury luck, that's where I got struck the hardest. One of the players that I've been very down upon the whole process, and now it looks like the rest of the league is catching up to it, has been Chase Brown. Flat out, it's a bad situation for him, and the only reason he's fantasy worthy is because they don't hand the ball off to anybody else. But he's not a talented football player. And so that was the thing. The guy I was probably the most wrong about, we've actually already talked about, is Tet. I flat out hate Tet's game. He's a tall receiver who can't separate and can't get yards after the catch. If everything was not force fed to him the way it is in Carolina, he really wouldn't be useful. So in terms of he producing is wildly shocking me more than I thought it would have. And one of the players that we hit out of the park. There's a bunch of them. But to go off of one of them is Warren. In the offseason, everyone was saying, don't bother with Warren. They took a 3rd-round pick. They'll never give Warren the ball, blah, blah, blah. When Warren starts, he's getting like 16 points a game. So that's certainly one of them, a late-round snag that we got. Tyler Warren, on the other hand, was another guy that I was pushing like crazy, and he's panned out. And actually, I saw something else just as a general fantasy note. You asked this earlier. When you're doing your draft, don't take a tight end early. With the exception of McBride, all of them are the same.
I don't even think McBride. Honestly, I don't even think McBride. Dude,
well,
I feel like you gotta go running back heavy.
I agree with that.
Go top receivers, because then you could find the sleeper receivers like rookies or sophomore years that you can pick up, like in Mbuka. Like that would have been. That's a great pick for anybody that took him, and JSN, because JSN
was my dude. JSN was my feather in the cap one that I was going to bring out here. But JSN was it. Because I exactly agree with you. Your first 5 picks, I like to have 3 backs on my team. And because the receivers are so much easier to find throughout it. Even if you get someone like a Wan'Dale Robinson, who like giant, or he's on the Giants, no one cares about them. But ever since Neighbors goes out and gets injured, like he's going to every single year, because he plays like he's a big man, but he's a very little man, and he's going to break. So you look at that and go, well, Wan'Dale Robinson has an amazing opportunity, and every once in a while he delivers it. Only in PPR, though, because the guy does nothing under the catch. But in PPR, he'll catch 9 balls a game. And there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think probably my biggest player that I think has been kind of a bust, really, and I mean, it's not even like breaking news or something. It's had been Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr., I unfortunately made a trade for him. I traded Breece Hall for him. They pretty much have done about the same. The time I traded him, Breece Hall worked out, and I needed some running back help. But anyways, that's just me. But Brian Thomas, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Brian Thomas. I don't know if there's some lingering injury. I don't know if it's just lack of chemistry with Lawrence, or if Lawrence just can't do it. I don't really know. And like you were saying before, you brought up Mac Jones and everything. It's something that a lot of people kind of forget, and I found myself forgetting. pretty much his entire stretch where he was amazing was all with Mac Jones. It wasn't with Trevor Lawrence. So I kind of just thought with Liam Cohen coming in that he was going to be, I don't know. I just expected a lot more out of him. But I think he's got to be probably like the biggest bust of the season, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. So starting with Cohen's offense down in Jacksonville, if you watch the film, that offense, more than any other offense in the league, has the most in-play option routes that things can change up on. As a result, it's one of the most complicated offense, so you always have to be on the exact same page. So as a result of constantly having changes and variances, you have opportunities for people doing things wrong all the time. So that's problem one. That's the Cohen factor that's introduced. You have to be totally on the same page, and they just aren't. Problem number two, I actually believe, lives in Lawrence, because statistically speaking, drops are random. But for some reason with him, his team's always in the top 5 in drops. Your job is to make sure people catch your pass. Yeah. And that's your requirement as a quarterback. At some point, it's got to be on him. And that's one of the things that when you talk about the chemistry with his receivers, I think it's a Lawrence problem more so than the talent problem. I think Thomas is one of the most talented guys who are going to spark like crazy. If he ever gets into another system, I mean, I'd take him infinitely. Like, just imagine in a hypothetical world if he got traded with Higgins in Cincinnati. Thomas would be like he'd be the first pick in the second round every single day, if not earlier. Yeah. So Thomas is ridiculously talented, and it's just a confluence of a super complicated offense, a quarterback who's not really throwing a catchable pass, and overall a lack of being on the same page between all three parties. And here we are. If we don't force feed it to you at the line of scrimmage, no one knows what we're doing. And that's the ultimate problem with the Jacksonville offense.
G-Mike, same question, man.
No, I was just going to mention real quick, you talked about Mount Rushmore of who not to draft, and Trevor Lawrence is one of those guys on mine. Never again I will draft him. Never again.
I get it, man. There's a lot of reasons. I get why people fell in love with him. You know, he looked like Hanson running around at Clemson. Like, who doesn't want that boy band energy? But that's unfortunately what he brought to the NFL, and is getting beat out of him.
Yeah, but I agree with Joe. I was most of my leagues I drafted Bucky Irving, but at the same time I drafted Chuba Hubbard. Like, those two were my two running backs that I was going with because I had similarly the same draft pick in most leagues. So those two always fell to me at the end of round 2 and then at the beginning of round 3. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go Jamar Chase, I'm going to go Bucky Irving, and I'm going to go Chuba Hubbard. And I did that in most of my leagues, and Chuba Hubbard, thank God, in 2 of those leagues, I was able to pick up Rico Dotto off the waiver. But the other leagues, I was not able to. And, man, it's really taking a toll on my season for sure.
That's certainly a real thing. And, you know, I'm not one of these guys that really spend a lot of stock in exposure when you're doing a lot of drafting of teams, because I kind of feel the draft itself will take care of it. But there are so many times that I consciously was choosing Bucky over Jonathan Taylor or Josh Jacobs because of how much I'm in love with that playoff end of the season. And I still am. And, you know, thankfully in best ball, you draft, 6 running backs, you can make up for an injury or 2. But I definitely feel you on the Hubbard one, because anytime he was still around in the 4th round, I snagged him without even asking a question. I didn't care what my team build was. I don't care what my full running back. I did it. That's just the reality. Sometimes you get enamored with a player in a situation, and that's really what it is. And that's one of the other fantasy football voices. It's more about the situation than the player for the vast majority 100%. Of the league. Unless you are a top tier, everyone knows your name. You are J. Jeff. You are CeeDee Lamb. Unless you are one of those dudes, it's only about your situation and what it's going to be when it's all said and done.
Oh, no, I think that's great advice for everybody out there. So, Joe, we're going to go ahead and move to this to our debate. Are you go in for this one?
Yeah. Is this the picture you sent me with the quarterback?
I did.
Yeah,
so we're going to jump in for our DownBad debate, all right?
Yeah.
It's time for the DownBad Debate.
All right, so this week's Down Bad Debate is which duo are you going to choose? You got A, B, C, or D. A is Peyton Manning and Randy Moss, Minnesota Randy Moss. B is Tom Brady and T.O., San Francisco T.O. Letter C is Dan Marino and Megatron. And D is Drew Brees, Jerry Rice. You were up top, my friend, and the guest. You are allowed to choose whichever one and explain why, my friend.
Okay, so you just want me to talk about the one I'm picking and not go through all of them?
Yeah, we can do that one after. You just pick who you want, and we'll do it after.
So I'm having a very, very hard time between A and C. A very hard time. Pretty much Marino had every record in the 80s, and he threw the ball perfectly, and it took 25 years until Peyton came around for his records to go away. And Calvin Johnson might be the most gifted receiver the world has ever seen, with the exception of maybe Randy Moss. So you're putting the two of them next to each other as the choice. To me, that's the debate, but I'm probably going to go. I'm probably going to go with Calvin and Marino, and the tiebreaker is the physicality of Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Peyton and Randy Moss. I think the speediness of Randy, you saw it with Tom Brady towards the end of his career, but we're looking at Minnesota Vikings right now. That was prime Randy Moss, man. The guy, sticky glue hands. He was super fast. Peyton Manning, man. If it wasn't for Tom Brady, Peyton Manning would have been where Tom Brady's at with 7 Super Bowls. He probably would have been like 5 or 4, at least.
Yeah, there's only two fan bases that remember all the cheating that Brady and Belichick did. It's the Steelers and the Colts, and there's a reason for it.
Yeah, Steve knows it firsthand. Firsthand.
Yep, I do. I definitely do. Yeah, as a Colts fan, I remember a lot of that. So, yeah, I completely agree. Man, my choice originally was going to be Marino and Megatron, just because of I would think I would pretty much just run go routes, and no one's going to stop the two of them. I think that would have been it's a great choice. But just for the playing the game here, it's tough because I almost feel like whenever you go with Brady and you got Breeze and Randy Moss you got T.O. and Jerry Rice, I feel like that you could do so much with those two guys as well. I think that I'm going to go with Brady and T.O. Just for like the yards of the catch. But I know I'm probably going to get some backlash on that one because Jerry Rice, once you got an open space, there wasn't many people that could catch him, and he could do so many things with the yak. But I think just the physicality of T.O. I'm going to put in there and go with Brady and T.O. would be my pick in here. But honestly, I think Marino and Megatron is the best. Even as a Colts fan, I never want to choose nothing but Peyton Manning. But I think that Marino, Megatron would have been great.
Yeah, no, that's I agree with you there. The problem with Breeze and Rice is that Rice did his best work over the middle, and Breeze historically only threw the ball over the middle of the guys who were 6'3" or taller. And I just think that you have a scheme matchup fit. If it were Green Bay version Aaron Rodgers and Rice, that is your no doubt home run winner. But that's the thing is Breeze didn't use the field where Rice was most successful, and that's why I would have shied away from that. And quite frankly, the reason I would have shied away from T.O. and Brady is I actually think there would have been an explosion inside the building had those two had to deal with each other. You get the San Francisco version of T.O. He was still insane then. Yeah. And Brady was always, Brady, for lack of for a nice way of saying that. And I feel like that would have been some oil and gas chemistry. But I don't think that you should get as much flack for not taking Rice in the open field because Breeze didn't throw it in that spot of the field. He just flat out wasn't comfortable doing it. He flew it downfield in the middle, but that was when he could just chuck it and let guys run under him. But anyway, that was my take on those four.
See, Mike, got anything else on that one, man? What do you think, man? Were you happy with your pick, or did you want something else?
I'm happy with my pick for sure, but just thinking about it, man, imagine Marino playing in today's NFL, where there's so many prolific receivers. Back then, 1 or 2, 3 maybe, but now with so many receivers that you can throw to, and even the running backs that you could check down to all the time, bro, Marino would be masterclass. He already is.
He is, but look at it. They were allowed to murder him back then, and they were allowed to murder the receivers. Now that there is defenseless receiver rule, you give him that same tier of no-name receivers that he had back then. He'd be able to count. He is probably the best combination of arm strength and accuracy that the league has ever had. I mean, he's right there with Elway. But,
Yeah, I agree. Marino now would have been awesome to see, and especially if you could have actually had that combo hypothetically. I mean, you already got a glimpse of with a big arm guy like Matthew Stafford and Megatron. That would have been cool to see Marino throwing him some passes any day.
Yeah.
Man, that was awesome. All right, Mr. Joe, thank you very much for hanging out with us, man.
Thank you for having me.
Have you back on, especially with playoff pushes coming up. We'd love to have you back on anytime, man. We really appreciate you coming on, and we will be getting with you definitely soon. As Joe from Local Football Flavor, you want to promote anything real quick?
That's it. Just come to the channel. We're Local Football Flavor, YouTube, Mondays and Thursdays, 3:45 Eastern.
Perfect. All right, my man. Well, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you now. Come back on anytime, my man.
Likewise, man. Just send me the link.
Sounds great. See you, buddy.
See you guys.
That was Joe from Local Football Flavor, dropping some knowledge and some heat on you guys, man. That was a lot of fun, too. Really appreciate him coming on. Check out the channel. We'll definitely be having him come back on with playoffs coming up and just anything fantasy related. So, Mr. G Mike, it's back to just you and I, man, and we have some other stuff to talk about, man. The NBA is in full swing at this right now, so let's go ahead and get into some basketball, my man.
It's From the Hardwood with VFTS.
All right, the basketball right now is in about the first month of the season, give or take maybe one or two games. So it's been a very interesting season so far, and there's a lot of things that's happened, some surprises and some not surprises at all. So what we were thinking about doing was just kind of going over exactly that, what you're surprised about and what you're not surprised about. G Mike, you can go ahead and go first, man.
What I'm surprised about is how your Dallas Mavericks are playing, man. I'm very disappointed in their play. I know that Kyrie has not come back yet. I know that Anthony Davis only played a few games and then he got injured and he hasn't been back yet either. Obviously, Cooper Flag is getting into his own, getting the rhythm of stuff. D'Lo, he's having a good game, having horrible games. Inconsistent. We've always talked about this with D'Lo. Klay Thompson looks very frustrated out there. There's a lot of talks about him being shipped out. There's talks about Kyrie being shipped out. There's talks about AD being shipped out. And there's just a lot of turmoil when it comes to your franchise right now, man. And it's very disappointing to see because when we started talking about the NBA before the regular season started, I picked the Dallas Mavericks to almost come out of the West, to be a very good basketball team, though, in the top three in the West. And right now they're showing that they don't know how to play basketball together, and they're taking a lot of L's, man, against good teams and against bad teams. I mean, it's just a lot of negativity towards your franchise right now, man. And I'm sorry to say it, but that is my biggest surprise right now.
No, I'm with you. I can't say that I was, expecting this to happen at all. I really thought they're going to be guns blazing, honestly. I thought they're going to be a lot more exciting than offense. The offense has been putrid, to say the least, really. But there's just been a lot of turmoil since the Luka trade. That's the elephant in the room. You can't get her out of that. You can't deny that. I have gone on record on the show saying I thought this was going to work out a lot better than it has. I kind of thought this might have worked out as one of those addition by subtractions. And not saying that Luka's a bad player. He's a generational talent. He's one of my all-time favorite Mavs, and he's only there for a short amount of time. But I thought that this was going to be a little bit different because I expected Nico not to go anywhere. And the idea what they're trying to do was build a big defensive team to shut down the Lukas of the world and all the scoring to be able to go up against these guys. I think the thing they forgot was about the offensive side. It's hard to say what the offensive are going to be without Kyrie Irving. When you have a rookie that's running point guard who's never ran point guard ever in his career at any point in time, trying to run point guard in the NBA. He's learning. I think it could work if that's what he's going to continually do. I think they're kind of trying to bounce him around and make him more of a hybrid player. The point is that they're just not playing well at all. Having said all that, now that they were able to get rid of Nico Collins, excuse me, we're just talking about fantasy football and everything. So, excuse me, Nico Harrison. I think that there's been a lot of rumors that they are talking about maybe trading AD. Now the latest rumor is that they're not going to bring back Kyrie Irving this season because they're quote unquote so far out of this. That's where I'm kind of getting frustrated with all this narrative in here too. The season's only been going on for about a month. You have a rookie that's 18 years old that just came to the league. He's not LeBron. LeBron was a freak of an athlete at 18, still is playing 21, 22 seasons later. You got to let this grow for a little bit. Now, I do think that the trades that they got back in return, it wasn't worth it. You got rid of Luka and you got an injured Anthony Davis, who's only played maybe 20 games or so with Dallas when he's not hurt. And then you don't have much for offense. So the only way this works is that you kind of build with what you got. Otherwise, you traded all these players away for nothing, essentially. You got nothing out of it. So I'm not ready to jump off the proverbial bridge yet because it's only been a month into the season. Let these guys gel a little bit more. Let this work out a little bit more. And by the trade deadline, if it is absolutely not going to work, then we can start talking about those things. But the fact that they're saying Kyrie 1 minute is ahead of schedule and the next, now they're not talking about bringing him back. So either he's more hurt than they're leading on, or number two, they really are just trying to pack it up. But let's face it, they didn't get much for draft picks for the Luka trade anyways. Now, if they had a bunch of picks like Oklahoma City did and they were able to make good picks out of them, okay, all right, let's do that. But they didn't. They didn't get all those picks that they should have gotten for a Luka Doncic talent. So I think you're kind of stuck in this boat of you have to keep with what you got for a little bit and see how this is actually going to work. Maybe make a trade with getting some more offensive players, getting an extra guard or something along those lines. I just think it's too early to make all these major moves that everybody's talking about doing so far.
Is that I think that the mentality of Nico Harrison was to win now, which is why he traded away Luka Doncic. It was a horrible decision trading away a generational talent for sure.
Yep.
But you're trying to get AD in return who can play way better defense and can score to a somewhat degree of what Luka Doncic can score. Obviously adding it with Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, the whole squad from last season, and then later on having the number one pick and trying to draft Cooper Flag.
They just go about it in different ways. AD is a capable top 10 player in the league. It's just Luka does it in a different way than AD is going to do it.
Exactly. He does it more primarily on defense as well. So I think Nico Harrison's mentality was win now, and then they saw how the season was going after 3 weeks, and they said, you know what, Nico, we don't like how you're thinking. We don't like how you do business. Get the hell out of here. Boom, kicked them to the curb. And now the new GM, the front office, and all the corporate guys for the Dallas Mavericks are thinking, you know what? We need to revamp this and try to go the OKC route and just get picks. And I think that's what's going to happen trade deadline. They're going to trade Klay Thompson for probably 2 picks. They're probably going to wait till the end of the season next year to trade away Kyrie Irving, who will probably be a player and more picks, and then probably AD at the trade deadline, depending on if AD wants to stick with the Dallas Mavericks or not, which I think it's not going to be that route. I think he's going to want to go to a contender because he knows he's injury prone, he's getting older, and he wants to win now. So they're going to use AD for another 3-4 picks. So I think they're going to go the OKC route, probably end up trading away those 3 players for about 7 or 8 picks in return.
Yeah, I think the issue with that as well is that what are you getting back in return for AD, for Klay Thompson, for even Kyrie at this point? Kyrie has been injured a little bit for the last few years. He's not the same Kyrie used to be. Still can take over a game, but that's what I'm kind of saying. They're kind of stuck in this spot because you're not going to get much back in return for these guys. They're only going to maybe get a couple. You might be lucky Kyrie or AD can probably still swing maybe 1 first-round pick, maybe. You can probably get some 2s. Kyrie, what are you going to get? A first-round pick? So it's tough to say what they're going to be able to do. And I think that's why I'm getting at, you're kind of stuck in this situation. And how about see how this is actually going to work out? You still don't know what's going to look like with Kyrie Irving in that lineup. Kyrie Irving could change everything in that dynamic. And because you're relying on D'Angelo Russell at this point, who's a journeyman. Not a bad player. Has had moments and flashes where he could be pretty good, but that's it, just pretty good. That's not going to get it done in the West. The West is too damn competitive for something along those lines. So if Kyrie is legitimately almost back, I think that you kind of let this ride a little bit more. Maybe let your guys get a little bit more healthier. And this in a weird way that you do have the whole Cooper Flag experience, and this is what it's going to be, that he's going to be the star, going to be the player. Fine. This is almost in a weird way the best case scenario for him, because he gets the taste of losing, and he's going to already not like that. He's going to be able to get hopefully all the bad rookie mistakes out early. Let's go ahead and be a rookie, Like, you can't always just take over a league. There's very few guys that come in to just take it over right away. So I think it's pretty good. I think it's kind of good that Cooper Flagg's getting this opportunity to be the man.
I agree with you. I think that they should ride it out and tough it out and, put on your big boy pants, and it is what it is, and go throughout the season. But I just don't think that's where the organization's front office mind is at. I think that their mind is, we need to start all over. Use these players to get picks, to get some young talent, to match up with Cooper Flagg, and let them build and grow together and try to win as a unit, as a young core unit like OKC Thunder, because that's what OKC did. Look at them. Now they have 6, 7 young players that are probably going to stick around together, depending on obviously the money and all that stuff. But just to on age and skill, talent, and intelligence, they're going to keep it together as a young core over there in OKC. So everybody's looking at it like, damn, they went an actually good route. We can actually draft young players and put them together and play together, that they're going to have a lot of heart. They're going to have a lot of desire, a lot of dedication to come and win a championship.
Watch out for Dirk getting back with the team. I think that obviously not playing. I meant more in the front office level, being a GM, an assistant GM, or something like that. Because I think that he has his heart still in Dallas. He goes to a lot of games still. He's made it very clear that he did not like the way they were handling things with Luka, and I think that they respect him. Michael Finley is in the position at the moment. Michael Finley, and I can't remember who else it is, that are in like this GM role right now. But don't be surprised if Dirk also doesn't become a major part of getting the next coach, or not next coach, but the next front office rebuild. You never know. Old Cuban still does have his hands on some things, and that's Cuban's guy hands down. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe next year Dirk's going to maybe get back with the team. He's going to do this TV thing that he has going on for a little bit. Maybe you'll start seeing him less and less. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's a part of the rebuild of what Dallas might do next year or for the future.
I wouldn't count it out. But, man, have you been watching the Detroit Pistons? Jesus Christ.
Impressive.
The Detroit Pistons have been looking crazy good, man. Crazy good.
It's impressive for such a young team, and they had it going on last year, really, too. But they picked up, and I thought they should have went deeper in the playoffs than they did last year. But, man, they are looking impressive. As of right now, it's got to be them and the Thunder that are looking great. Denver's still looking good. The Rockets, I'm really surprised in how well this is working out and gelling. I knew KD going there was going to be a big deal because they were good last year, but I really like the way they're doing. What is it, a Sangoon or Sungun? How do you pronounce it? Sangoon, I think it is. Yeah. That kid is playing lights out as well, man. He's hitting a lot of clutch shots. I really like Cleveland in the East as well. I think a lot of people kind of forget about Cleveland a little bit with all like Boston always being up there and everything like that, but I've been impressed with Cleveland as well. I think that they're going to make some noise, I think, come later on. But I agree with you, man. Detroit has been awesome.
Yeah, bro. Cade leading the realm. It looks like he's a true born leader for sure. There's a reason why he was the number 1 pick. Jalen Duren looking like a second coming of Dwight Howard. Crazy on the defense, amazing on the offense. This guy's getting double-doubles like crazy. He's dropped, I think, 3 games of 20 points and 20 rebounds already, and it's only a month into the season. It's like, bro. And then they have a core surrounded together that they look like they will never quit. They're going to show a lot of toughness and grit no matter who the hell they're playing against. And right now they're in an 11-game win streak. Crazy.
Yeah. I knew Cade was going to be good. I just didn't expect him to be this good this quick. I kind of thought that when he got drafted, it's like, he's just going to be a scorer. I just didn't see the leadership of him and just how he's kind of taken over. I just expect him to be, that typical one-and-done kind of guy that's just going to come in and start scoring a bunch and everything. But his leadership and how he's actually playing, he's playing like a true vet now. So, I mean, it's impressive to see what they've been doing in general and Cade himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really is, man. I like his play. I actually picked him in one of my fantasy basketball leagues, and boy, has been showing out, man. He's been playing great. Another team too, man. The Heat, baby. The Heat, we're playing good.
Talk about them.
We're looking good, baby. I mean, Tyler Hero hasn't played all season. Bam, he was injured for like a couple games. Now he's playing tonight. We're playing the Golden State Warriors. We're actually up on the Golden State Warriors by 2 right now. No Jimmy, no Steph, no fucking Draymond, and so we should be up by more than that. But at the end of the day, it's all about wins. It doesn't matter how much you are winning by. Last season, we were one of the worst scoring offenses, and this season, we're top 5 in scoring. Like, it just shows the greatness of Coach Spo, man, the way that he adjusts and he gets his guys ready. Hopefully, Tyler Hill comes back. He doesn't mess up the whole chemistry that we got going on. And Norman Powell, like I told you, Steve, was a great trade for us, man. What I tell you, baby, that guy is going crazy. He's probably going to be an all-star this year, man. And it sucks for the LA Clippers because they lost Bradley Beal and they wanted to give up Norman Powell for Bradley Beal. And look what's going on. Exactly. Man, I like the way we're playing, man. I like the way we're playing.
Surprise as hell. They've been up to.
Not my biggest surprise. The Maverick situation, like I told you, but for me, it's still a surprise. I thought we're going to be mediocre at best, and the way that we can't score the ball, we're going to get up. And I was wrong, maybe.
Yeah, no, I would have to say that it's not even necessarily a hot take by any stretch or anything like that, but it's impressive to see how impressive the Thunder have been as well. There's a lot of hype coming off of winning the championship, and a lot of people picked them to be a repeat, and a lot of people are saying that this is the next dynasty and all those good things, and it's a lot of pressure on a young team, and they are playing like they should be playing, and that's the key. Yep. To the whole thing is that don't let the media overhype you and don't fall into your own trap. But they're not doing that at all. They look like they're ready to go. They look like they have the right attitude of playing as one team, and so it is impressive to see how well they've been able to not have the championship hangover that a lot of teams have. It's tough to do, to not feel yourself.
Yeah, bro. No, they're playing amazing. They look like they're about to go back to back, man. It's scary.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree totally. They look like they could be, barring injury, obviously. That's just the way everything is, obviously, in the NBA and everything. But barring injury, I think Oklahoma City, you could definitely see them at least in the conference finals. And that's not even, a stretch at this point. Yeah, I mean, Cleveland's playing right now. They're playing Houston, and
they just came back nasty. They were down,
yeah,
and now 77-76, going crazy.
That's a team I was telling you too. I'm impressed with Cleveland. I like the way they're playing, and especially too because they're not all the way back. Right? Is what's his name back yet? Excuse me, I'm drawing a blank on this one. Help me out here. What's
Darius Garland?
Thank you. Yeah, I could not think of it, man. Sorry. Is he back yet or no? I don't think he's back.
He hasn't. He hasn't played yet.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I kind of figured too, man. But I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Cleveland and, of course, Oklahoma City. And hopefully Dallas can figure out their crap. And can we not, sell everything off and just make it that we traded Luka for absolutely nothing? Can we just pump the brakes a little bit here, okay? Just a little bit. They are playing awful, but
tough trade, bro. Tough trade.
Exactly. All right, my friend. Well, that is going to do it for Views from the Stands for tonight. We truly appreciate everything that the people listening, watching, checking us out, liking, subscribing. We got to give a shout out to Joe for coming on from Local Football Flavor. It was a great guest. That was awesome. Give them a follow. They're a great group of guys. We're going to have them on it for sure again. G-Mike, you got anything for the people before we sign out of here, buddy?
Guys, just please like, subscribe, share the show with your family, friends, strangers. You meet at the tailgates for the remaining of the NFL season. You go to a basketball game and go watch your favorite team play. The guy sitting next to you, the lady sitting next to you. Let them know View from the Stands got the hot takes and the fun, interesting, exciting show, baby.
Absolutely. For Mr. G and Mike, I am Stevie B, and we are out. Peace.